In this lesson, what we're going to be examining is different investigative techniques that are used to gather information. We'll be looking at three primary sources of information: confidential informants, undercover operations, and evidence that's gathered as part of a surveillance operation. In sources of information, we gather information from either personal observation or the observation of others. What I mean by that is someone tells you, this is what I saw, this is what I heard. And those other people are other law enforcement officers, victims of the crime, witnesses, and partners in the crime. One other is the criminal informant that's not listed here. These first four are deemed to be credible. The criminal or confidential informant is deemed not to be credible. Confidential informant is an individual who supplies information on a confidential basis with the understanding that their identity will not be made known. The use of a confidential informant encourages people to come forward. People don't want other people to know that they're ratting on them, and what we're trying to do is to get criminals who know the street, know the players on the street, to come forward and give us information. So in return, we don't use that information as public knowledge as who gave it to us. Informants have many uses. The primary use is to provide intelligence on criminal activity. They provide with information that we can corroborate, that we can add additional investigation, surveillance. Informants can help infiltrate a criminal group. They already know the people and the players. They're more likely to be accepted into the group than someone that they don't know, which is the next one on the list, introducing the undercover officer into the criminal group, and then letting the undercover officer take over the operation and act. Informants can also buy contraband. The information that's given by informants, the knowledge that we gather from that is used to develop probable cause. That helps us in writing our search warrants. In doing that, questioning of the informant, we need to locate the evidence, suspects, what type of evidence that they have, and also on, again, high-level investigations in a wiretap operation, informants would identify key players in a criminal organization. Why people inform: they feel it's a civic duty. They want to see justice done. But again, they don't want to be identified. Some are what we would call cop wannabes. They enjoy the thrill of law enforcement. Others for reward. They want a monetary reward, the ego of turning in bad guys, working with the police, having that connection. Kind of like, again, like the cop wannabe, kind of a police groupie, revenge or competition. I remember a billboard years ago in a city that said, drug dealers, turn in your competition, and gave a telephone number, trying to encourage others to turn in their competition, and because they know who the drug dealers are. And repentance or lenience. They've committed a crime. Now they're sorry for that. As part of their payback, they're going to inform, hopefully for a lesser sentence. Anonymous tips. Anonymous tips are very helpful. A lot of cities would set up a Crime Stopper line, and you would not have to give any information if you did not want to. And one of the key things is with a anonymous tip, can you corroborate the information? Again, we talked about this in the last lesson, where you would go in and look at the facts and see what you could verify. If the anonymous tip came in and said that this afternoon at 3 o'clock there's going to be a lady that's going to leave building C of the Wilderness Trace Apartments, and she's going to get into a green Ford, and she's going to drive to the No-Tell motel, and she has drugs in her brown purse. And that afternoon at 3 at the Wilderness Trace Apartments, we see a woman come out, get into the green Ford, and drive to the No-Tell motel. Well, we've corroborated that information. Another thing that police have done with anonymous information is do what they call a knock and talk. Just go knock on somebody's door. Hey, how you doing? Police. We've received some reports here. We just want to ask you some questions. Another thing is the reliability of frequent callers. Some Crime Stoppers anonymous lines will actually give the person a number. So the person would call in, they would be given an identification number, and that way they can track the reliability of the caller. Still don't know who the caller is, but they can still track the reliability of the caller.